Afternoon, folks. I'm Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School, back down here at the Pathfinder Outdoor Classroom area. And again, here at the Pathfinder School in Southeast Ohio, we teach lots and lots of courses from survival to bushcraft to specialty courses in navigation, wilderness first aid, ropes and rigging, plant lore. All those types of things can be found at our website under the training tab, and you can check out our classes for 2025. We have some of the best hands-on training in the country with some of the best instructors there are. I can guarantee you that, and you will not be disappointed. Now, what I want to talk to you about today is sleep systems and sleep system development and the Pathfinder bedroll system as it goes together and as it can be used separately a little bit. But I want to talk to you specifically about the Forest Quilt, because the Forest Quilt is getting ready to come back in stock. And I want to talk a little bit about the design intent and how it works alone or with our system, okay? So we've talked lots of times in videos past about sheltering in general, and you need three components for every shelter. You need something to sleep on to battle conduction. You need something to sleep in to trap body heat, and that's really the purpose of any type of sleeping bag, wool blanket, whoopee, whatever the case may be. You're using that as close to your body as you can get it to trap radiant body heat. The further away that is from your body, the more dead air space your body has to heat to try to keep warm. So keeping that close to your body and wrapping up in something like that is absolutely the way to go. And then you need something to sleep under, something that will keep you sheltered from the elements, whether that is a tent like the backwoods bungalow behind me now, or whether that's just a tarp and you're sleeping on the ground. Now, the key to this whole thing when we developed this Pathfinder bedroll system, I wanted a very, very good sleep pad, and this is the Pathfinder air mattress, and it will be available again probably within the next 3 weeks to a month, but before Christmas for sure. It has an R value of about 5.7. It is awesome when it comes to winter sleeping. It's absolutely the most comfortable air mattress I've ever slept on in my life as a standalone system. The problem with it is it's pretty large, and it does have a rubberized bottom on it. It has metal here at the valves, so it's not plastic or something that's going to tear out. It's made from metal. You can see it's got a plastic insert all the way around it, a molded insert around that metal for your inlet and outlet valves. And it's self-inflating. If you leave it set out for 10 or 15 minutes, it will inflate to about that thick. All right, it's also insulated. It is a very warm mattress, but the size of it is not conducive to backpacking. This is more of a base camp type item, or if you were traveling by canoe, by four-wheeler, by horse, pulling a sled in deep winter, things like that, easily enough you can carry something like this. And I use this quite frequently in classes. I just run it out on my four-wheeler, throw it on the ground, and whatever the season dictates, that's what I sleep inside of. A wool blanket, a whoopee liner, a forest quilt, a swagman roll, whatever I want, I can combine with this to give me a really good night's sleep. But the key to getting a good night's sleep in the winter is really insulation from the ground. So if you're backpacking, that may need to be some kind of a smaller mattress that may not have as good of R value, or a mattress that's downfilled that may have good R value, but it takes time to get it blown up and things like that, and you may have to pump it up. It's not going to be self-inflating. Or you may want to carry a browse bed with you. But this is a great option for winter camping or cold weather camping beyond the shadow of a doubt. Now, we have an outer shell that goes with that that's made from a Cordura material, and it is our bed sleeve. And we've done videos on all of these things in the past, so I'm not going to reiterate too much of that stuff, but this bed sleeve is made to be kind of your all-inclusive bedroll. It's made to be a ground shield. It's waterproof. It's also meant to hold the air mattress or the forest quilt or wool blanket or whatever you want to put in it for a bedroll, and then roll that up as one unit to carry. And then you can put the Badger Claw bedroll straps around it. Badger Claw is a company that we work with, an American-made company that we work with that makes a lot of stuff for our website. And these Pathfinder bedroll harness straps are one of those products. You can find them on our website. And they work really good once you get all of this combined together and make one large bedroll, like a cowboy bedroll. You can carry this thing over your shoulder if you want to, but it also contains it really well to throw it in your truck, throw it in the back of your Jeep, throw it in your ATV, whatever the case may be, right? Now, let's talk about the forest quilt. And the reason I want to talk about that is I want to talk a little bit about the design intent a little bit about the design in general, and a little bit about how I like to carry it. So if I'm not carrying the mattress and I'm using this thing pretty much as a standalone for another type mattress, or if I'm carrying it for just sleeping on the ground with a browse bed of some kind, depending on how I'm doing it, it's really good to put this in a 20-liter dry bag. The 20-liter dry bag keeps it perfectly dry, keeps anything from snagging it or putting any holes in it around camp, and keeps it protected. And I throw this right on the back of my side-by-side lots of times as an emergency quilt if something were to happen in cold weather. And it fits perfectly in this 20-liter dry bag with plenty of room to spare. You could throw some fire starting elements, things like that in here. The video I did not very long ago about the emergency kit for the trap line. The forest quilt could be implemented in that as well. Very, very easily. Just as easy as a wool blanket with a little less weight. So let's pull this bad boy out of here for a minute. And you can see this thing has plenty of loft when you pull it out. This thing is huge, okay? This is the new color. It's a forest green on black. The last one was a earth tone brown on black. And we kind of change colors of things with every run, just like we do with the backpacks, to give people options. If you didn't like the brown, you'd rather have a green. We came out with a forest green this time. They come out with another color the next time. But we've got about 500 of these en route to us, so you should be able to get one if you want it. Now, let's talk about the design of this real quick. I mean, I'm getting hot with this thing just laying across my leg because it's about 48 degrees out here right now, somewhere in that neighborhood. This thing is absolutely warm. Down to the 30s, this thing is absolutely warm. If you've got any kind of a minimal base layer on inside this bad boy, you're going to be warm in the 30s, no question about it. It is very much quilted exactly like a poncho liner, like a military whoopee. However, it's filled with hollow cotton fiber. And a hollow cotton fiber is synthetic. Even though it's called cotton, it's not natural cotton. It's synthetic, but it's a hollow fiber that gives very, very, very good insulation. And it's batted very, very thick inside here, okay? Like any other whoopee, it's large enough to be put into a poncho. It's actually a little bit larger than a standard whoopee. But it does have drawstrings on it with shock cords on it so that you can actually plug it into a poncho if you chose to do so as a poncho liner. You can also just roll up in this thing in a poncho on the ground with some kind of a cowboy roll, and that works as well. A couple design features that we looked at when we were making this was, I looked at, obviously, the Swagman roll is a very, very good design. However, I found myself never using the hood, and the hood kind of being in the way if I was using it for certain things, and kind of just hanging out there if I was using it for an underquilt, having to cinch it up sometimes when I wanted to use it for a blanket so draft didn't get in. So I didn't put a hood on this at all. I just put a zipper on here that you can open up to wear this like a poncho liner if you chose to, or a standalone, just warming outer garment around camp. And it does have clips on it. I'll show you to clip it around your body if you choose to do that. Now, the other design feature, and again, you know, lots of things are designed taken from other products to combine them into one to make something a little bit better or more conducive to your needs. And that's exactly what I do with backpacks, with gear in general, period. All right. And this forest quilt is no different. One of the things that I was always really fond of with the Wiggies type sleeping bags is they had a shock cord at the bottom of them on the end so that you could gather up the end of it because it was made for sleeping in boots if you wanted to. Well, you can gather this thing up all the way to the bottom and close it completely off and close these cord locks, and it works perfectly like that. And you can just zip up the bottom of it right here. You can just take this thing and zip the bottom of it up to create a foot box, and it works very much like any overquilt with a built-in foot box. You can zip this thing up and give yourself a foot box, close those ends up like this, and now you've got a place you can put your feet inside of here, but you can use the rest of it just like an overquilt, all right, and give you a really, really good night's sleep that way. I use it 90% of the time exactly like that if I'm ground sleeping. But it also has the option to zip it all the way down into a sleeping bag configuration that's plenty wide enough for you to sleep inside of if you want to use it for a sleeping bag. The drawstrings are on both ends, so you can actually draw up the end of it as well around your face if you wanted to, or around your neck, which is your head sticking out. so that you can breathe and not put moisture into your system. And that's very, very important to understand about vapor barriers and how moisture works. If you're sleeping in a shelter and you're breathing, think about some tent that doesn't have an open front on it like this one Tigris does. You invariably get condensation on the inside. So anything that's against that condensation, that's an absorbent material, is going to absorb that condensation and become wet. Therefore, not as insulative, but also not as useful to you because now you've made it wet instead of having it bone dry. So you don't get 100% of the insulative value anymore, all right? Now, you can also use this as an underquilt. And I've got videos, and I'll put a tag in here to that video that show all the different ways you can use this quilt. But because it has these really long drawstrings on it, you can also draw this thing down and put this in your hammock suspension system and use this for an underquilt if you chose to do that. And it's a very, very warm underquilt. And if you use this as an underquilt, you don't need a whole lot on top of you. The mistake a lot of people make is they think that they need all the insulation on top of them instead of underneath of them. You need about twice as much insulation underneath you to battle conduction from the ground or convection from the air if you're hanging than you do on top of you, because the radiant body heat that rises from your body should heat whatever's around your body and trap heat, okay? So you can use a much lighter blanket for your top quilt, and you can use something like this for your underquilt. Now, you could also go the opposite direction. If you had some kind of a hammock gear or another brand of underquilt that was down-filled, you could use this for your top quilt. So it's a very, very versatile piece of equipment. I'm gonna show you how to wear this thing as standalone outerwear as well. So now I've got this on, basically like a poncho liner or a whoopee, and you can see that it has a strap on this side and it has a strap on this side that you can just pull together in the front and clip it, and you can cinch it down to where you have a blanket type poncho that your arms are free to be able to do things around the fire, but your core temperature is protected. That's the important part, is protecting that core temperature. So we've got this thing tucked in, we've got it tightened up, and now we can use this as a standalone garment around the fire and in camp in the mornings when it's cold outside, or for an emergency if we get ourselves too cold. Very, very easy just to unclip it. It comes undone, pull it off over our head, zip it up, and it's a done deal, right? Take off our hat, pop that thing off, zip that slit up, and now we don't have any hood hanging anywhere or anything we have to cinch up. We've got a complete zip system right here that closes it down, and now it becomes a blanket again, okay? So again, you know, all of these things that we develop, we think them through very well, and we make improvements on sometimes current designs, sometimes past designs, bringing the past forward. Inspired by the past has always been our motto. And I try to develop equipment that gives you a leg up in the wilderness. That's the key. What will this do for me that something else doesn't do right now? What's going to make this a more versatile piece of equipment? Poncho poles are a great example of that under the overhang of the backwoods bungalow. They fit that overhang perfect. They fit a poncho perfect. So they can make your poncho a shelter that's already belled out for you, that you don't have to pull out with some kind of a rope. Or you can bell out the overhang on this shelter and give yourself a vestibule to get underneath of, work, sit up in, and do things like that. So everything that we do, we try to improve and make it better and more conducive for use in the woods, and make an improvement on something that will make your life easier as well. The forest quilt will be in stock maybe as early as tomorrow, but definitely by Friday. Just keep checking our website for that. The bed sleeves are currently in stock. The bed sleeve bedroll straps are currently in stock, and the mattress will be coming in the next 3 weeks or a month, something like that. Don't hold me to that exactly, but I'm pretty sure they're coming in before Christmas as well. So there's lots and lots of components that you can mix and match. You can use them as you want to. You could take that outer shell and use it with a wool blanket and some type of an air mattress you already have, or even with an accordion mat, although I would never recommend that in the wintertime. It's just not enough unless you're combining it with a browse bed or something like that to increase the R value of that insulation. But all of these things are meant to work together. They're also meant to work as standalone, and they're meant to mix and match with gear or equipment you may already have, so they're not so proprietary that you have to use them with a certain piece of kit. They're all mix and matchable. Guys, listen, I appreciate your support. I appreciate everything you do for our school, for our family, and for our business. For all of our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends, I'll be back with another video as soon as I can, and I appreciate your views. Thank you.